This video is in continuance with a series of videos which we plan to introduce, which we plan to spread via social media for the benefit of professionals as well as professional college students. In this particular video, we are going to concentrate on a very important aspect. A very important aspect if you ask an HR person, but in practice, when we see at the candidates who come for an interview, this is one part which they show least importance. Yes, I am talking of your resume, your CV. I would rather say, instead of making a resume, this is an art, the art of CV writing. And this art of CV writing is something you should understand so that you get a better reception at your next interview. Whether you are a fresher or an experienced person with 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of experience, you need to have a custom-made, a tailor-made resume which showcases your experience, your talent, your skills, the kind of person you are. Once I see the resume, I need to understand the person sitting in front of me is the same. But unfortunately, especially in professional colleges, this doesn't happen. The resume is made by one particular person and it is being duplicated. Just the name, the address, the contact details, the educational details varies. Otherwise, it's more or less the same resume. In certain cases, in some colleges where we have gone for campus drive for representing our clients, I have seen resumes of students having the same career objective. Yes, the same career objective. I have mocked in some places saying that one or two resume from a college is enough to understand the type of students they possess, because all of them are going to have the same type of resume. I'm not talking of all colleges, but in certain colleges, it does happen. I'm not blaming the colleges. It's the students who do not understand the value of a good resume. Hence, I thought of having this topic in our series of educational videos. Now, a good resume. What is a good resume? What are the details to be presented in a good resume? How are the data to be presented in a good resume? How many pages do I have to need in my resume? All these are queries which will come to your mind when we have started discussing this. If you are a fresher with a couple of years of experience after your graduation, or you do not have experience, whatever, all you need to have is a 2-page resume. Yes, you do need to have a 2-page resume. It can't be lesser than that also. Because when we go for campus drives and we see students coming with 1-page resume with a very meager data, we assume either the student is not updated as far as a professional resume is concerned, or he doesn't have the data, or he doesn't have any of the skills to be presented in a resume. So either case, why should we take such a student? So that is one thing which students should keep in their mind while preparing a resume. Now, once you got started, at the topmost part, your name, your address, your contact details. When I say your contact details, your landline number should be there with your country or your state code. Yes, your landline number is needed. That's because in most cases, the students, they use a cell number during their college days, which they might change after they have moved out of the college. And in such cases, when a firm or a consultancy, an HR consultancy, tries to contact them, they will be the only thing available for them is the old cell number which you have been using in your college, because that is what is printed on the resume or on your college placement brochure. So to avoid that, please do mention your landline number too, and an email ID which you will be using in the future too, for the same reason which I have mentioned about your mobile number. This email ID might receive a lot of mails from consultancies, from companies with career openings. So make sure you may have an email ID which you will be operating in the future too. So the same ID need to be mentioned in your resume. Now, once your career objective is over, you can mention your experience if you are an experienced person. Yes, Remember one more thing I would like to mention in the beginning itself. Now this particular video is useful only for students as well as professionals who have got about 5 to 6 or less than that of less than 6 years of experience only. When we go for a managerial cadre, this video might not be that useful because there you need to have a custom-made, tailor-made resume wherein your core competencies etc. need to be mentioned on the first page. That is something which I'm not going to mention here because this particular video I have intended for with people with 5 to 6 years of experience or a fresh professional college student. Now, when you mention your experience, the latest should be on top. Yes, the latest employment opportunity, employment details should be on top, followed by the previous one. It has to be in that way only. If you are a college student and you have got experience, yes, there are students who have got experience because in certain cases, a student might finish his graduation, work for a couple of years and then do a post-graduation. In such scenario, your resume should contain that experience on the first page above your educational qualification because that is what differentiates you from your fellow students. And that is what which makes us feel this is a better candidate than others. I'm not saying they will take you right there, but it has a unique selling point of yours. So mention that on the first page itself so that it catches the eye of the interviewer at the starting stage itself. So that should be on the top. Now, once you finish your experience, the next thing to be mentioned is your educational qualification. And those people who do not have experience after your career objective, mention your educational qualification. Now, when I talked of experience, I told the latest should be on top and below that, the previous one, etc. Now, when you are mentioning your educational qualification, it needs to be on the reverse order. That's your 10th has to be on the top, your 12th next, your graduation after that, and your post-graduation below that. It has to be in this order itself. And adjacent to your 10th, please do mention the year of passing. Sorry, the next thing you need to do is your institute, your college or school where you're passed out from. Then the university or board which your school or college has been affiliated to, and then the year of passing. These are the details which are enough. Now, in certain cases, students do mention their percentage of marks. There is nothing harm in mentioning your percentage of marks. But keep one thing in mind, it's a simple logic which you should understand. And if you understand the logical part of this, you do know what I'm coming to. If your percentage of marks has been improving that right from 10th to your graduation or post-graduation, you can mention the marks. That's, you got an 80% marks in 10th, you got an 83% marks in 12th, you got an 88% marks during graduation and a 90% in post-graduation. That's worth mentioning, which shows your improvement. Now suppose it is in the reverse order. You got a 90% in 10th, you got an 85% in 12th, an 80 in graduation and a 65 to 70 in post-graduation. Do you really need to mention that? I would say no. You need not exhibit this to the interviewer on the first page itself. Why do you want to have a negative remark about you in the mind of the interviewer? I'm not telling to cheat or something like that, but certain things are better off if avoided. So this is one of the things. As far as a postgraduate student or a graduate student is concerned, a fresher is concerned, the interviewer is not much concerned about your percentage of marks in most cases. They do have a minimum cutoff mark or a minimum requirement they do feel which is needed. That is either your minimum graduation or your minimum post-graduation. And apart from that, they are looking for your communication skill as well as your attitude and your aptitude for the job. So these are the points which they are focusing more on. So in such cases, why do you want to showcase a deteriorating mark list? So you need not mention that. Now, once your educational qualification is over, if you are an experienced person, I would say your first page will be over. Your objective, career objective, your experience, your educational qualification, your first page is over. Now, if you are a fresher, your career objective and your educational qualification, your page is not over, you've got space there. And in that particular space, mention either your internship or your projects which you have done. And in those cases, please do not mention it in one particular sentence only. Just show the company where you're done, organization, etc., or firm, hyphen, the firm's name, and then you show the project detail which you are done, the name of the project that you can mention, and below that in a couple of sentences, please do give a explanation of what was the project done, how was the data collected, or what are the things you have done there during the internship, etc. The period of internship or period of project for 1 month or 45 days or 30 days, 15 days or whatever. Do mention that also, because that is one thing which can give a brief idea about your attitude and aptitude for a job to the interviewer since you are a fresher. Now, once that is over, your first page is over if you are a fresher. In the next page, give details if you are a fresher on the seminars you have attended, the workshops you have attended, etc. If you are not attended, there is no harm in having a blank space there. You need not mention that topic also. Just leave it. If you have attended seminars and workshop, you need to mention that. If you are an experienced person, you can mention your awards, your recognitions there. Yes, you need to mention that also. What are the type of awards you got, whether the achievement related or your promotional related awards or letters you received, etc. And in case of fresher, you can mention your other co-curricular activities you have been involved in, whether it was in a college meet or something like that, in your sports or in your arts or something. You need to mention those also, because that shows that apart from your academics, you are good at certain other skills also, certain other aspects also. It will work better during an interview if you have got something like that and you are mentioning that. Now, after you have finished that, you can mention the languages you know. Languages which you are comfortable with. You can speak or whatever, or means your oral or written, or whether you can understand or whatever. I would rather say if you have got something of mix, certain things, certain language you can only understand, you can speak, certain you can write, certain you can read and write, etc. It can vary. In such cases, you need not mention for each language, I can read, I can write or something like that. Just mention languages known, a hyphen and all the languages you know. When the interviewer asks for something, you can say, look, these are the particular languages which I can speak and understand, but only these two I can write. And there's no harm in telling that to an interviewer at the interview when he asks for. Otherwise, just mention languages known and all these details. Then go for your personal details. Now, why I would say then go for your personal details is that in certain cases, I have seen students mentioning skills about this. There is no harm mentioning skills, provided you can give examples wherein you have exhibited those skills during your academic period. If you cannot give examples of exhibiting those skills, the interviewer might question your integrity in mentioning those skills on your resume. So only if you can show examples, you do mention those skills. Otherwise, you need not mention any of the skills. The interviewer is as such going to assess your skills, whether you mention it or not. So just avoid it. And the last part you need to have is your personal details. Now, in all the days of 80s and even some early 90s too, people used to mention about your father's name, your mother's name, then what are the things, their religion, caste, etc. Now, these are not that important as far as a present day interview is concerned. So in your resume, you need to mention what are the details which you need to mention is that one is your date of birth and age, which we need to know. The sex, whether you're male or female, because depending on your resume, once you sit in front of me, I can understand whether you're male or female, but once you apply for a job and I see a resume, by seeing at the name, I need not understand whether that particular person is a male or a female, etc. So please do mention your sex there. Then you need not again repeat your address, because you have already printed your address on the top page of the first page, on the top part. So you need not repeat it again. It becomes a bore for the interviewer to see the repetition of the same address. So that need not be mentioned. Only these two aspects are essential. In case you are applying for an overseas job, you can mention your nationality as well as your passport details. Because in certain jobs, the passport details are essential. They need to understand whether you have got a passport or not. So you can mention your passport details. Now, once that is over, you need to have a declaration wherein you, before that you need to have, once the personal details over, mention 2 references. You need to mention at least 2 references. If a person of 20, 25 years or 15 years, I wouldn't say you need to mention. You can very well mention, will be provided when asked for. But especially for a student, you can't do that. You don't do that. It doesn't look good in your resume when you are a fresher, that you will present it when you are asked for. If you are a student, you need to give 2 references. Do not go for personal references. Go for your academic references. So you can mention your principal of the college you studied last, the HOD of the department, of your particular department, or you can also mention the concerned person of the firm where you have done your internship or your project. That will also be good. While mentioning their name, you need to have their name, their designation, the institution's name, and their contact number. Contact number, the person, that is their mobile number, as well as the landline number with the particular country or state code. And that is needed so that the companies can get a reference from them. And once your references are also over, you need to have a declaration wherein you state that all the things which details you have provided above are true to the best of your knowledge. After that, we have on the right hand bottom part, we mention our name, and above that is where we sign when we apply for a job. And on the left hand side, we have a place and date. Now this thing, please do keep in mind, always have a soft copy of your resume in your mail or in your system, because each time you're going to apply for a job, type the date and place there. Yes, type. Why I mention type is that in certain cases in campus drives or in other job fairs also, students come with resumes. There might be good resume, there might not be professional resume, whatever, but 9 out of 10 times there is a space after date, and the space has been filled with the date by ink. Yes, they have written the date on that day. Now, what is the meaning of that? What is a message conveyed to the interviewer? If I am the interviewer, the message conveyed is very clear about the student. The student has got a set of resumes in his hand. He has been searching for a job, and that is why he has come with a set of resume. So each day, whenever he goes for an interview, he writes that particular date and he goes. Instead of that, why don't you give a different feel to the interviewer that you have come prepared only for that particular interview? And for that, you can type the date there and then take a print. So the print shows, along with the other details, the date is also printed on the same date where you are attending the interview. On the same date, you are attending the interview. And that means this particular resume has been made for that particular interview only. And that gives a different feel about you to the interviewer. So please do keep that in mind also. Keep a soft copy rather than having a lot of hard copies printed. And then once all these details are over, in certain cases when you are applying for a job, you can put your signature and apply. In certain cases during a campus interview, you can put your signature and apply for and attend the interviews, or you can do the same in the interview cabin also, wherein before handing over the resume, you can take your resume out and sign. And it shows a different feel because this particular resume is made for that particular interview only. I have not come here with a set of bunch of resumes because I am searching for a job. This particular job is what I am interested in, and hence I am come with a one particular resume and I am putting my signature right here in front of you. And that gives a different meaning. So these are the basic essentials of a good resume. Now in an 18 to 19 or 20 minute video, I can't elaborate more than this. That's why I told you, for a 20, 25, 30 or 15 years experienced person, this type of video can give a brief idea, only basic idea only, not much will be available for them, because for them they need a portfolio which showcases everything, their core competencies, etc. It needs to be done. Their portfolio need to be done in a different way. Here we are concentrating on people with 5 to 6 years experience, the maths, or a professional college student who needs to understand the importance of a resume. We do hope this particular video, like all our other videos, has been useful to you people. Make this viral so that more and more students, more and more professionals do get a small idea about the requirements of a good resume. Thank you.